What is the editorial mission of BuzzFeed?
The editorial mission of BuzzFeed is to make content that people want to share. And that is broadly defined both in terms of the entertaining, lighthearted content and also in terms of the news content. And the news content, will obviously get shared at a lower rate. But if you look at the stuff that we're doing in Ukraine or Syria, people will share that with other people that are interested in that topic. And I think that when I look at our integration with WhatsApp, which we did, we started working on in April of last year, we were excited about that because we have a large community of users that have relationships with people in other countries. They're either expats or have business relationships. And I think that when I look at the hard news and I look at that with WhatsApp, we think, wow, this is a way that these stories will get shared. People are not necessarily going to post a long thought piece to their Facebook feed, but they may send it to their 5 friends that are in Eastern Europe and say, look, this is what we're hearing about it in the US.
And one more question, again, I know that you're in fundamentally operations, but it does come back to, so you said that the editorial mission is to make content that people want to share.
Yes.
That's a very different thing than something which may be all the news that's fit to print or some sort of calling to a higher purpose of what the role of fundamentally a news organization is in a society.
Right.
Or is it?
I think that value is both succinct and encapsulates all of those things. People will not share things with other people unless they express who they are and how they feel about things, or they feel that it's something important that they want to tell somebody else. So I think that all the news that fits to print makes sense for a time where you're completely constrained by what you can fit, right? We are now constrained by what do people feel passionately enough about from an entertainment or social importance. They only have so many shares that they can do in a given day, and that value encapsulates all those things for a modern era, I think.
All the same, sharing is something that reflects the priorities of a society, and that's fine, but sometimes do those priorities need to be protected or dictated, and do you see any role in that process?
I'm not paternalistic in my nature. I just think that to think that you know better than other people is kind of, it's not democracy. I don't think it's the best way. How do we know that we have the right values? How do we know that we know what's best for people to read about? I think that creating the content, and this is where the technology stack makes a lot of sense. I mean, ultimately, every piece of content on BuzzFeed needs to get shared, or it stops showing on BuzzFeed. Now, we put weighting factors into that. Now, a politics story doesn't need to get as shared or as viewed as a listicle about which city should you live in, but it does need to have a sharing ratio within that pool of content that is proportionally high enough. And look, Ben will make editorial calls. Ben can control the splash. Ben will splash a story that he feels is socially important, that he wants to give a little bit more of a chance to share, but that algorithm is really important how everything works.